pull from. And so everyone is going to practice just a little bit differently. Our approaches are going to be a little bit differently. And I think that's a cool thing, right? So I guess a little bit about myself. I've been in practice for 5 years here in Moose Jaw. I do have 3 small children, so that's why you maybe don't know that I exist yet, which is cool. I only work 2 days a week, Fridays and Saturdays, and that's plenty when you've got 3 kids running around. My background is, interesting enough, also in kinesiology and psychology, and I went to the same college as Joel did, so in Toronto, the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine. I also was on the student association, but was not the president. So yeah, it's a really cool environment to get involved in. Just naturopathic medicine in general, we were talking about earlier, right? Kind of once you get bit, that's kind of it, right? My journey, I guess, was my own health, right? That was kind of how I got into it. I had some health issues. I felt like most doctors just couldn't quite figure it out. Working with my own naturopathic doctor, I was able to bring myself to good health. I always knew growing up I wanted to be in health, but I kind of thought, well, I'll be a lab tech or ultrasound, but yeah, once I got into it, that was kind of it for me, and it just seemed like a really good fit. I am a bit of a hippie, so my approach is very different than Joel's. He's talking about the basics, absolutely. IV therapy is not my thing. I don't like poking people with needles. That's awesome, and I love that he does that, and it's a great therapy. I believe Lynn does IV therapy as well, and I love that they do it because I can just say, go to one of them, right? I definitely do a lot of diet, the sleep, water, exercise, lifestyle factors, a lot of the same stuff that Joel's talking about, right? Those are kind of the foundations to good health. That's where I start. My approach is different in the sense, which is why I think I don't do IV therapies, is that I'm just going to start with like 1 or 2 things and see what kind of change that brings about. I find as a society in general, not to poke at people, but we tend to like quick fixes, right? And so we go on to this quick fix and then, or we're trying all the things all at one time and we're feeling really good, but then we're like, I have no idea what was working, what wasn't working. So that's why my approach is less is more. Let's just start with some dietary modifications, maybe a few supplements, maybe some stress management at home, and see what kind of change we can bring about and go from there. Does this process take longer? Yes. But over time, I find that it's more sustainable long term because we're getting a chance to sit and listen to our body and how it's responding to certain things. So yeah, that's kind of my practice in general, how I approach things. Can I do high dose, vitamins via supplementation? Absolutely. If we need to do that, I can do that, or I can refer out to somebody else. But in general, less is more for me. Dietary stuff is huge. Like, Joel alluded to, kind of like what we put into our body is what we're going to get out of it. And if we don't have those building blocks, then the body is just not going to function properly. Modalities that I kind of use, obviously diet. I do a lot of acupuncture as well. I really enjoy it. I definitely am doing more of the traditional Chinese medicine approach to it. I just like the idea of looking at the body in a different way, because it's a totally different way of looking about how the body functions and regulates itself, and I just like that approach. I like thinking in that different realm. Obviously, botanical medicine, supplementation, stuff like that. I do have an extra scanning system that I use. It's called an Ediscan, and that just provides me with more information about what's going on in the body. It's a type of energetic scan. I don't know how it works. You'd have to get into like quantum physics to like fully appreciate how it does what it does. But I definitely using it over the past 5 years in my practice, even though I can't explain the actual mechanisms or the physics of it. I just find that it's really useful, again, in providing extra information that maybe I wouldn't have thought of on my own, or would have taken me longer to get to that conclusion or something like that. So that is included in all of my visits. Obviously, if people are not comfortable with that type of a scan, then we kind of skip it, right? So like I said, it just provides me with any and all information that helps me do my job a little bit better. Kind of areas that I focus in, a little bit of everything. Definitely a lot of women, because I find as women we tend to be a little bit more thought process about what's going on in their health. So definitely I find that that's just more of my patient base. I do see a lot of kids because I have my own, and I feel like that helps in terms of being able to relate to parents when they're having issues or